Hey, this is Ashley,
And Cindy,
and this is Life for Dummies.
because we're real dumb.
What are we going to talk about today, Cindy?
Oh, I think we should talk about how the longer you live this way of life, the narrower the road gets.
Oh, I like that because I hear about narrow roads a lot, like from intelligent people over histories and time. A lot of spiritual principles based around this narrow road idea. Do you want to talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so, the longer I live this way of life, the more, the less likely I am to allow myself to be in emotional pain. Like the narrower the road gets. I don't want to be in emotional pain anymore. I just don't. So it's like the minute anything happens and that little tinge of something starts, I have to change something immediately to make sure that I don't go down the same road that I've already been.
Interesting. So, how do you know what to do?
Well, I have been living this way of life for quite some time now. So I do have a pretty good idea about solutions. But I always, before I make any major decision about changing anything, I always talk to somebody else first. A like-minded individual who has my best interest at heart. And I say, listen, this is happening and it's making me extremely uncomfortable. And they're like, well, yeah, because you don't want to be uncomfortable anymore, first of all. But you're not living in your higher power's will and you're not being true to yourself. What's the solution to that? How can you stop behaving in that way? Because it's usually about my behaviors.
Interesting. So, it's basically like bringing whatever you're uncomfortable feeling about to somebody else for advice.
Yeah, I have to bring it to the forefront, and be open and honest. Because, listen, I am the first person to want you to think that I have it all together and I have all the answers, but I don't. I don't have all the answers and I don't know everything. And the longer I live this way of life, the more I realize that I really don't know that much and that I do need help. I cannot do this alone.
What's tough is that a lot of the times people in active addiction have a very high tolerance for pain.
Mm.
And so when it comes to getting clean and changing our life, we still end up living in quite a lot of emotional pain for a long time.
Yeah, and that's it. So the longer you live this way of life, the longer you're practicing the principles that we talk about here, the less you want to be in pain is what it comes down to. Emotional pain is, for me, worse than physical pain. When I am stewing with something in my mind and my mind won't stop racing and I can't stop thinking about certain things, that is painful for me. That is not how I want to live my life anymore. That is how I used to live my life, and that was my norm. It's not my norm anymore. So when I get to that point, I know I need to do something different.
Yeah, for me, like a lot of the times, my behavior is that I have to take all the burden upon myself and just, make you feel comfortable, whoever you are. And that comes from my addiction, yes, and also maybe the circumstances from my past. And so it is not natural for me to invite people in and say, how can I share this burden with you? Because most of the time I don't want to burden anyone else.
Right, and that's the thing. But a burden shared is a burden lessened. And so the only thing that I did in active addiction was isolate. And the only thing I did was try to figure it out all by myself. So I don't know what makes me think that when I decide to live this new way of life, that I'm going to be able to figure it out all by myself. When I am alone with myself, I am in bad company. So I need to ask for help. And you're not burdening anyone. People that show up for you continuously and time again when you're living this way of life, it's because all they want is the best for you and they want to help you through it because they don't want to see you go back to who you used to be.
Yeah, like for me, it's hard because some of my survival instincts are so ingrained that it's tough to start to change them. Because a lot of the times, these characteristics were actually formed in fire, and I had to learn how to survive in pretty hairy situations.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We survived, right? So when we start living this way of life, we're not just surviving, we want to be thriving. And part of being able to thrive is to be able to say, I need help, I can't do this alone. That's how we thrive in this way of life. We realize that we cannot do this alone.
So if you're feeling isolated or stuck in something that you just can't get out of and it's putting too much pressure on you emotionally, physically, psychologically, we are here for you. That's what this channel is about.
Yeah, we want to help you guys. We want to see you live out to your fullest potential and become the best versions of yourself. And like we said, you become your 5 closest friends, right? Let Ashley and I be the closest too.